Freedom, independence, azadi, swatantrata. Whatever language you may speak or word you use, the concept is dear to most of us in the 21st century. Today on American Indian, we participate in Independence Day celebrations in America and India, while taking a brief look at the history of both independence movements and meditate on the question, what does freedom mean in a post-globalized world? It's an exercise in sticking it to the man today on American Indian. We're an American family living in India. We love food, film, language, culture, and making new friends. Join our adventures from America to India and beyond.
In addition to being the two highest populated democratic republics in the world, America and India have something else in common. They both claimed their freedom from Britain, albeit using drastically different forms of revolution and responding to radically different socio-cultural circumstances. While the American Revolution was primarily by the colonists for the colonists, India's was an indigenous movement by the natives for the natives.
One of the two most egregious sins in American history has been the treatment of the native populations, and thus America has something to learn from India's freedom struggle. Because this land of India is the largest democracy of its kind in the world, a government by the indigenous people and for the indigenous people, or as Gandhi called it, Swaraj, self-rule.
I think India's biggest accomplishment since independence has been the way it's been able to accommodate all the different cultures and all the different religions and all the different kinds of people that live in India.
India's biggest accomplishment is its very existence. Since independence, we've seen a lot of nations that have ceased to exist or have broken down into smaller countries or have some sort of civil war or civil destruction going on in them. India does have its own share of tensions, but India has managed to keep it together. That's the biggest achievement India has had, like the sheer existence of something that spectacular.
To get a bit of historical perspective on India's independence, we took a trip to Nehru Memorial Museum and Library.
What you doing, buddy? You found a new place, new road for you?
One of the fascinating parts of the museum for me personally was the revelation of just how many people from all walks of life, faiths, and backgrounds played a role in the road to independence. I saw faces that were entirely new to me and was reminded just how sanitary and oversimplified our understanding of pivotal moments in history can be. Entire lives spent in the struggle for freedom and equality largely forgotten or unheard of by the majority of the world. Some names have even been forgotten here. I did not know that much about Nehru before my trip to the museum, so I decided to pick up his book, The Discovery of India, to get a better understanding of the man. I thought the museum provided a good glimpse of his life. Not a real museum guy, but I found it instructive.
On the night of August 14th, on the eve of independence, Jawaharlal Nehru delivered a stirring speech about India's road to freedom.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
In my own home country, about 170 years prior, Sam Adams' speech to the State House in Philadelphia on the 1st of August served as a fitting exclamation point to the Declaration of Independence when it was to be signed by the delegates the next day. They were both fantastic speeches in their own cultural context, and I honestly feel that Nehru's in particular has some great lessons for us even today. But for all their lofty ideals, these speeches could not adequately address or rectify looming domestic troubles that would plague both nations for generations.
In America, of course, slavery was one grave evil that would not be addressed for another 80 years, and the ensuing racism that persists even today.
One thing that did encourage me during my last trip to the U.S. were the visits to one of our local piers in my hometown of Panama City Beach, Florida. The American melting pot was actually on display this summer, and to see this intermingling, African Americans, East Asians, Latin Americans, and Indians coming together to fish, swim, watch the sunset, it gave me some hope. There's still a long way to go, of course, and I saw nothing on this particular trip that addressed the other great stain on U.S. history, the treatment of the indigenous tribes of those people who have come to be known as Indians over the years. All I can hope is that we, as a growing global civilization, can learn from these evils and seek to prevent reenacting them again in our own ways.
On the other side of the pond, in 1947, the optimism of Nehru's incredible speech was halted in its tracks by India's own domestic troubles. Partition. the division of Hindustan into Muslim-majority Pakistan and Hindu-majority India. The sectarian tension erupted in violence that has been a sore spot for India and Pakistan ever since. Are you going to try to get the balloons? Can you jump? Jump and get the balloons? Jump, get the balloons. Jump, jump. Whoa! Okay.
I do think festivals and celebrations, rather than digging a community in to fend off outsiders, can work to bring people of different backgrounds together, but only if you think it through. This year we celebrated American Independence Day on July 4th back in the US with American friends and family, and Independence Day with Indian and Canadian and American friends in India. In retrospect, I've learned a lesson that I think is important in cross-cultural communication. But first, a quick overview of the different ways America and India typically celebrate independence.
This year, we did what we normally would have done before coming to India: watch fireworks and light fireworks. We did a lot of the watching fireworks kind. On July 2nd, we met with Ford's cousin Jessica and her family and took the kids out on the dock to see the local naval base put on quite a show over the bay.
What do you think of the fireworks?
Fireworks.
Did you like them?
I can see fireworks. I like fireworks.
On July 3rd, we joined them again as some local businesses and community organizations put on another fireworks show over the lagoon near the docks.
And in addition to the community celebrations, there are, of course, gatherings of families and friends.
It's equivalent to lighting a $100 bill on fire.
This is so true.
It'd be a lot faster. We wouldn't have to drive as far since we were not allowed to buy fireworks in Florida. You have to drive all the way to Alabama to buy, real fireworks, things that actually explode.
So we're not really free, are we? I mean,
No, we're free, but we're not free to buy our own fireworks. Unless we want to break the law, which we're doing tonight.
what does Independence Day mean to you?
There's like 200 sovereign states in the world, and like 180 of them have freedom, but we have to celebrate our freedom with exploding stuff.
We celebrate our independence with a Chinese invention, like we celebrate all things in life with Chinese products. Here we are to salute America with the rising flag. Dun, 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 dun. Look at that!
What do you have to say for yourself, you unpatriotic swine?
I'm a flag burner.
Brought to you by China.
We make it feel like America or freedom was discovered.
America.
Freedom was discovered in America. We
Hey,
defined it.
so what does Australia's Independence Day look like? Do you know?
I don't think they have a.
Oh no, that's right.
Day.
They're Commonwealth.
Right.
They're not independent.
Since we do live in a very water-concentrated area, beaches and lakes are the most common meeting spots.
4th of July is about celebrating freedom and our independence, and also barbecues and fireworks and adventures on water.
Food-wise, it's what you would probably imagine. Non-veg. Hot dogs, burgers, chips, and soft drinks. Not the most kosher or halal or sattvic or gluten-free of dining options. As meals go, the quintessential July 4th celebration is pretty much an equal opportunity offender of dietary restrictions, regardless of your religious background or your health conscience. But it's not all universally offensive. One southern food tradition I am particularly fond of is the breaking out of the tarbooj, or the watermelon. Nothing says American summer like watermelon.
Say it in Hindi with your mouth full.
America ka garmi. Hey, watermelon.
No,
Tarbooj.
I just wanted you to say watermelon in Hindi. That was
As all Indian males know, when guys get together around fireworks, our collective intelligence quotients tend to nosedive. There's just something about fire, that brings out the Beavis and Butthead in all of us.
Hurry, run! Do it! Oh, it was off!
We got about $125 worth of grade A fireworks here. These are the ones that make the big boom.
Satya joined in as well and got to do a little bit of wizarding.
You're like Harry Potter now. Come on. Say Expelliarmus or something. No. Expecto Patronum!
Matt got creative this year with a multi-exposure camera and flash setup and had us run at each other to make an interesting in-camera effect. As you can see, pretty much poetry in motion.
Say bye-bye, Rohan.
Bye-bye, what you got?
Bye-bye, baby. He said bye-bye, baby.
Bye-bye, baby.
Arriving back in India a month later, we were able to partake in the Independence Day celebration here. 2 important speeches are delivered on Independence Day, one by the President on Independence Eve, and then one by the Prime Minister on the morning of Independence.
For Indians and those interested in India, the Prime Minister's speech in particular serves as a great moment to get a picture of the Prime Minister's roadmap for the nation. The speech is available on YouTube, and if you can't speak Hindi, the translation is definitely worth a read because Prime Minister Modi has given detailed plans and targetable goals that will be a big part of the administration's work in upcoming years.
Citizens paint the town tricolor with flags in abundance. And while not everywhere celebrates in the following way, Delhi has a fun Independence Day tradition.
Fly kites with my family.
Kite flying. We have a lot of children flying kites in the morning.
I'd never witnessed Indian kite flying in person, so we decided to host a small gathering at a friend's place with a nice roof and do some kite flying. But then it rained and rained and rained. Nonetheless, people came. Neeraj even came all the way from Rajasthan.
If I'm going to learn about independence, who should I read about?
Bhagat Singh, Uttam Singh. There are many freedom fighters. Lala Lajpat Rai.
Oh, tell me about Lala Lajpat Rai.
So there was this guy Simon, and there was this new rule, new law, which they were going to enact, and Indians were against it. So they were protesting, and Lala Lajpat Rai was lathi charged, and he died because of it. Bhagat Singh was there.
Oh, so is that one of the things that really instigated Bhagat Singh to fight back, or?
There were many things, they all piled up. First of all, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre.
Okay, right.
Yeah, then the Lala Lajpat Rai was, you could say, the last nail in the coffin.
We tried to wait out the rain, so Noble Luke and our new friend Clay, music teacher at the British school, took turns serenading us. And then, when the rain slacked, we gave kite flying a try, but the wind was pretty slack too.
Salim, our resident kite expert, took up the challenge. There were many voices of reason saying it wouldn't be possible. Too wet, not enough wind. But then... And it was this moment that taught me my Independence Day cross-cultural lesson. In America, our Independence Day celebration was insular. We ate what we normally would eat, but what we normally eat walls us off from all manners of communities. In India, we picked neutral food options, all items that would not serve as barriers to people of different cultural and religious backgrounds. And here in India, we got a small glimpse of what freedom can look like. One from the Muslim community teaching us how to take flight, North Indians of different caste and linguistic backgrounds sharing their stories, a Punjabi metal singer singing Seal, and an American Indian looking forward to the day when he'd be able to get a kite in the air on his own. On August 15th, we were given a picture of a freedom that refuses to let a little bit of rain, lack of wind, and community difference get in the way of taking flight. As Nehru said almost 70 years ago, freedom and power bring responsibility. And so we have to labor and to work hard to give reality to our dreams. Those dreams are for India, but they are also for the world. For all the nations and peoples are too closely knit together today for any one of them to imagine that it can live apart. Peace has been said to be indivisible, so is freedom. So is prosperity now, and so also is disaster in this one world that can no longer be split into isolated fragments. Prime Minister Modi would carry on this theme of responsibility, brotherhood, and looking forward in a speech at UNESCO during April of this year. Our collective goal is to seek a peaceful and prosperous future for our world, in which every nation has a voice, all peoples have an identity, all cultures are flowers in a garden, every human being has a life of dignity, every child a future of opportunity, and our planet the chance to preserve its glory. The foundation of our Constitution rests on a fundamental principle. The peace and prosperity of all is indivisible from the welfare of the individual. The strength of the nation is determined by the joined hands of every citizen, and real progress is measured through empowerment of the weakest. And we shall judge our progress not just by the cold statistics of growth, but by the warm glow of belief and hope on human faces. Culture must connect, not divide our world. It should be a bridge to greater respect and understanding between people. It should join nations in peace and harmony. So while it was Stan Lee through Spider-Man who said, "With great power comes great responsibility," it was quite a few years earlier that it was Nehru who said, "Freedom and power carry with them responsibility." So as we think about freedom today in a cross-cultural context, we must ask ourselves, how are we going to use it? Thank you so much for watching American Indian. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like what you see in the show, please consider supporting the show on Patreon. The more money we can get, the better we can make the show, and the greater likelihood we'll be able to continue doing this for years to come, which is what we really want to do. The piece of music used in that last segment and playing right now is an original piece, but it utilizes previously composed melodies that are pertinent to the topic of our episode today. All patrons of the show will get it for free anyway. Just take a look at the patron feed and you will be able to download that song for free. Thanks again for watching The Surfing Violinist and American Indian in particular. We do one episode of these a month, so if you're thinking, geez, I would like to support Ford's show, but he releases a ton of videos and he's releasing video game videos, I'm not interested in that. It's only this longer episode of American Indian, which we release once a month at the end of the month. We're trying to make it more like a TV show as opposed to a vlog or a short. Until next time, keep it creative, keep it cross-cultural, and keep it constructive, YouTube. Thank you very much.